Meantime, you have Bernie Sanders releasing his Medicare for All bill with 16 other Democratic caucusing senators, which is pretty stunning.
That's a pretty big deal.
It's a big deal. And what's your sense of this? I mean, because it's been interesting. You know, I went back and forth with Bill Scher on Twitter a bit today. I had mentioned his piece last week. Well, no, it was perfectly civil.
I'm kidding. You guys have no. I'm kidding. But what was his piece last week? I may have missed it. I don't know. What was it?
Well, his piece was, and it wasn't. It was this week. His piece, and I think I had it up here. His piece basically argued, like, hey, there's a lot of pitfalls here, and we shouldn't promise something we can't deliver. That why should Democrats shouldn't organize around something like this? Things like climate change or infrastructure are less divisive in some ways.
He really did say that. That I couldn't disagree with more. Climate change is not less divisive.
Well, less divisive amongst. I think his argument is it's less divisive amongst Democrats.
Oh, okay, that may be true. Yeah,
and
but that's the thing is, I think on that, Bill is a little bit behind because again, you know, this is what I always try to say. Why I always believe in what I believe in, which is you push forward and you make progress. Which is, you know, eventually a lot of these guys, when it became a point where culturally they had to, we're going to come around. You know, I mean, I saw Joe Manchin the other day was saying he supported it, right? I mean, unless that was
well, he said I think he was single payer curious. I think I would say
single payer curious.
But this is the way the bill ended. It was he's talking about the importance of ending the immigration system that's created millions of second-class citizens. Yet this week, Democrats risk blunting that momentum by diving back into the healthcare cauldron. Crumbling infrastructure risks lives and drags down the economy. Unaffordable early education and higher education exacerbates inequality. The opioid crisis is devastating communities. The globalized automated gig economy fuels economic anxiety and insecurity. But healthcare, that's a battle Democrats have waged for 3 decades, paid enormous political prices, and somehow managed to come out ahead. The Affordable Care Act is still standing. For Pete's sakes, Democrats pocket the win and move on. And here's the thing that I was saying yesterday about this bill that I think is that where Bill Scher is off on this, and this type of criticism is off. The beauty of this bill is that, and certainly Sanders has signaled it by signing on to Schatz's bill and saying we should shore up the Affordable Care Act, is that there's a certain amount of, I don't want to say incrementalism, but step-by-step building process that is built into this goal. People are going to be happy if the Medicare age drops to 50. People are going to be happy if Medicare just covers 18 and younger. This is not, and in fact, I think the thing that really divided the Democrats about the Affordable Care Act was that there was this attitude of, we did it, now we won, let's move on to something else, where nobody bought into that thinking this would be the end all be all. Nobody felt that way. And so to say, and even look, we now know, and I think everybody would concede, there's a lot of problems with the Affordable Care Act that need to be fixed. And there's no reason to believe the Republicans are going to be any more amenable to fixing those than they would be to dropping the age of Medicare to 55. And so,
entirely true.
And once you drop the age of Medicare to 55, you are that much closer to the aspirational bill that we're talking about. And then you see people like Catherine Rampell in the Washington Post. Fair enough, she doesn't perceive herself maybe as a Democrat, or at least publicly. And this idea that somehow she wrote this piece that was, Democrats used to own the used to own the, let me just read from this. She wrote about Republicans with their hollow promises. Thanks to the grand old party's demagoguery, Democrats have for a little while enjoyed a virtual monopoly on facts, evidence, and experts. Dems, or some of them anyway, embrace serious solutions based often technical policy making and the hard choices that went along with it. But the lesson Democrats seem to have taken from the 2016 electoral trouncing is they need to become more like Republicans, meaning abandon thoughtful, detail-oriented bean counting and attempts to come up with workable solutions grounded in occasionally unpopular reality and instead chant virtue-signaling catchphrases. I think she should be reminded that the Democratic Party has never had less political power in at least her lifetime and mine and beyond. Right. And that if anything is going to be done on all the things that Bill Scher talks about, climate change, infrastructure, immigration, I could go on and on and on. It's only going to happen if Democrats get elected to office. And it is quite clear that climate is not a motivating factor to get Democrats elected, as much as I regret that. But we have a denier who is the president of the United States.
People understand on a much more personal level their health care.
Exactly. And infrastructure. Maybe that's a sexy winner. Maybe, but not for Bernie Sanders. And there's nothing stopping any other member of the Democratic caucus from going out there and trying to take over the political moment by coming out there with a bold infrastructure program. There's nothing out there. And so this is I don't even know how to characterize this type of critique about a bill that could not in any shape or form ever reach the floor of the United States Senate. I mean, I guess conceivably, right? I mean, we could have like a mass bus accident and maybe but assuming that we don't have that, we're talking about something that's not going to happen for at least 4 or 5 years. And it's stunning to me. And Bernie Sanders already signaled, like, we can do this piecemeal. The bill itself is built into a piecemeal thing. And if like, oh my God, what if it's like, we're going to do this instead of over 4 years, over 8 years? I mean, here's
the thing. I mean,
really telling criticism.
First of all, the history of all this is not exactly what it's being portrayed as. Richard Nixon was ready to go with a universal health care bill that wasn't all that different than Obamacare. And for Teddy Kennedy at the time, which he later said he regretted, he decided that wasn't enough. He was going to push for universal health care, which is great that he was going to. I just think he should have accepted that first and then kept pushing for, a Medicare for all type bill. That's the first thing. So it's not to say, everybody who has ever failed, they actually got there to where the Republicans were conceding this a couple decades ago, more than that. Second, and that's important on this. So it's not like it's, oh my God, it's dragged and destroyed everybody. The reason why Obama was destroyed by this, which is something we've talked about ad nauseum on this show, is because he didn't sell the popular aspects of it. The more the Republicans attacked Obamacare, and there are problems with Obamacare, but the more they attacked some of the specifics that they were going to take away from people, like Medicaid and other things, and the more people found out, that's Obamacare that does that, the more popular Obamacare became. Because the government programs that these guys are turning to boogeymen are actually pretty damn popular, which is to me, the smart thing about this is you're running on Medicare for all, which is what I've always thought they should do, as opposed to just saying single payer or whatever, because it means something to somebody. It's a brand. People get that Medicare actually is efficient, works, and is very popular. And so the truth of the matter is that doing this now, and as you're saying, it's not like it's going to become the law, but what's been so bad about the Democrats, from whether, Obama selling Obamacare afterwards, even Hillary selling Hillary Care back in the 90s and the rest, is that we've always thought that, that we give them the specifics, give them the wonk, and they'll get it. People will just get that that's better, even with Republicans and Chamber of Commerce types and others attacking it constantly, making things up and blowing up little things that are unimportant. The truth is that you need an aspirational message, and Medicare for all is that. That is the equivalent of build a wall. except for it's not demagoguery, it's not whatever, but it's an aspirational message on our side that says what we're about, the way Building a Wall says what they're about. And we don't usually do that and give people an overall idea of what it is we're about. And that's become a huge problem over the years. So, I respect Bill's work. I just disagree with him hugely on this one. I don't think it does. And you're not pocketing a win when these damn bills keep coming back up like Graham Cassidy. We've learned that in the past, too. You need to give people an alternative. The alternative is, if you want everybody to have Medicare, this great program that's efficient and popular, whatever, or would you like to be screwed by another one of these full of shit Republican bills that end up taking away your health care? You give them a choice. So I don't know. In every way, the ground has moved on this. Bernie certainly was a big part of that, as have been some other Democrats along the way. And we were always moving towards there. And frankly, these things, when you strip out the Republican language and bullshit, these things actually poll really well.
Absolutely.
So good for us for once actually doing something smart.
There's obviously, it's going to be very difficult to implement. I mean, first off, that's why the political argument to me just seems almost borderline bizarre. The argument that you're promising, you're over-promising, and you're not going to deliver, and that is a very dangerous place to be in. And Bill tweeted to me, today's enthusiasm or passion can turn into tomorrow's bitter disappointment. That is true, broadly speaking. But the problem that the Republicans had with the repeal and replace, and it's yet to be seen that that wasn't a net benefit, right? Like getting rid of Obamacare, they ran on that for 8 years. I would rather be in their position right now than in the Democrats' position. Talk to Neil Gorsuch, talk to every other federal judge that it's just going to blow right through. So, I mean, even the analysis that this has come back to bite them more severely than it paid in benefits for them over the years. But the fact is that it is not when September 30th comes, repeal and replace is dead as a doornail. There is no subsidiary, there is no retreat position for the Republicans to take. There's no half a sandwich for them to deliver. But with Medicare for All, there are half sandwiches, 3/4 sandwiches, 7/8 sandwiches, all through the way that will benefit more and more, progressively more and more people. And if you say this is our goal, then you never pocket the win. Or you pocket the win and then you go for the next win. You don't go and say,
that's right,
we're done. And that's the argument that Bill.
Additionally, politically,
very strange.
people who understand Medicare well and often are on it are some of the people that Democrats have been losing. And maybe perhaps you win back some people you've been losing. Because part of Medicare for All is also you're standing up for good Medicare.
It's going to be hard when people find out what the taxes are involved in this. It's going to be hard. There's no doubt. You're going to have a very hard sell. But part of that is also to go out there and start spending the time saying, this is how government helps you. I mean, one of the reasons why it's such a hard sell to raise taxes to where it was for the vast majority of the 20th century is because we've had a series of Democratic candidates and presidents who have made the argument that government is, not quite an obstacle, but sort of an obstacle.
And can do some good things, but sort of like government can help sometimes, but have fallen into sort of the trap all policy's been in to a certain degree since Reagan, when he redefined all of this stuff. And I think that Medicare for All is part of redefining what the New Deal did, and the Great Society did, and standing up and saying, these are our aspirations. You're not going to always get there. LBJ didn't get to national health care. That's what his goal was.
Right.
But guess what? He ended up with Medicare and Medicaid. Pretty damn good, right?
Yep.
Helped a whole lot of people.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos